I am shocked.
We are 100% capacity again with our residents, 30 on the long-term care, 10 on the assisted living.
Good.
And we're not needing any money at this point in time.
What's the weather doing today?
Yeah. Go ahead. You want me to pinch you, Willie?
I am here to ask about replacing a patio area on the south side of long-term care. They had some tarps over that patio area, and the wind has torn some of those up. And I don't know, like 10, 12 days ago, one of the bad ones tore up the last one. And so they need a cover on that bad, as soon as possible, because it's important that those people can get out there and utilize, get some fresh air.
Would there be some insurance on that?
Well, the deductible was $5,000 on the roof, which, have you notified K-Camp that roof has been completed? Because I think they retained some money that we should get.
I don't know about that, but
Okay.
they emailed me and I emailed back to Bill.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Well, I think we'll start getting some bids and see what's going to cost and what kind of materials you want to use. And
Well, Rodney and I, we heard about this a few days ago and we got started. And so we're trying to get bids on pergola out of 2x6s and stuff, but haven't heard anything from them. And we've looked at doing steel. And so that's what we want to do. And it'll be a 13 by 30, I'm sorry, coverage. So it'll cover about half that patio. So some of it will be out in the sun on those days that they need sun. And so the cost is going to be about $3,300. Now we've got 2 bids on the steel, and he's L&M in Colby is 30% under Stiles and Atwood, so we need to go that path. And Clapper took his trailer this morning to Colby for another meeting, and he can pick that steel up if I call him and give him the word. And we can get McGilvery's in Birch City to do the labor. And we didn't get bids there because the 2P contractors we've been using have multiple things on our list yet to do. So I know they don't have time to do it in a timely manner. And so we would like to move forward with that, and it's, like I said, it's going to be about $3,300.
It almost seems we have to do something because the residents there can't get out other than there, right? It's not like they can leave.
So we need to get it done as soon as possible. McGilvery's can start on it as soon as we get the material here, and so I would recommend.
You're saying you didn't get bids though?
Well, we have on the steel, which is over half the cost. About half of that cost is for the steel alone, and where Colby is 30% under half. So we did get the bids there on most of it.
So you go ahead and get the steel and then maybe put out the labor contract or not?
Well, it just needs to go. It just needs to.
I think what he's saying is the people that do give us bids are too busy. They have items that they haven't even completed yet.
For us.
Right, for us. So we need
So
someone.
I know they don't have time because they're not.
We need to bypass the bidding. Is that what you're saying?
I would like to. On
Whether
that
you
part.
bypass the bidding, but you could put a mandatory start date and maybe weed out those start and completion.
there's lots of possibilities, but
Well,
And that way you wouldn't be-
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you really need to solicit bids on the labor.
And then maybe say we want a completion date of such and such a time.
yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, I'm just
Well,
afraid
I
we'll get in
understand.
trouble if we don't. We got some local contractors and they didn't have a chance to bid, whether they get it done or not, I don't.
Can we still buy the material though?
Well,
think
he
we can
has
do
to
that.
bid, yeah.
Yeah.
He's
We got
two
some bids on
that.
it.
Yeah.
And has suggested the low bid out of Colby, so I think you're okay there. Because there any other places necessarily that you can solicit that type of bid.
No, there's nothing in Cheyenne County to buy.
Well, let's do this then. Let's go ahead and let's get that steel and get it started up here. And then let's make a few phone calls. Let's try the local contractors. Would you at all be interested in this project? And could you complete it within a
30
month?
days or,
And then we'll abide by whatever.
Okay. Now, if I get those and it's within those numbers I threw out to you, can we move forward before the next commissioner meeting?
I would say yes.
Because we really need to make it happen.
Yeah, let's
I can
do
get
it.
on the phone and,
Let's do that. Let's at least cover our rear ends a little bit here, because that is how the process is supposed to be done. So let's abide by it. Make those phone calls. Let's get the steel coming, and then you can make a decision help by tomorrow. Really,
I think once you just call whoever the contractors are and maybe get a letter from them saying we are not interested because we don't have the time, and then we can go ahead with.
very good.
do you see any
Now, can
problems
that
there?
still be billed through Cheyenne County? Can they send that bill to you? Okay.
'Cause you're only
So I
talking-
can Get your address, your mailing address and stuff.
You're only talking about $1,500 or $1,700.
15 on that steel, or about 50 on that part of it.
So actually, he could do the steel without the bids, but
Well, he has bids for the steel.
yeah, I know. I'm just trying to.
Right.
And
My,
then-
my concern is if you pick and choose in calling,
Yeah,
then, what if
If I-
someone,
If I want.
Wait,
well, if you,
there's dollar amounts on that, though. I think he's under
Oh, I
yeah, he
5,000.
might be under
So all he
$1,500.
has to do is make an attempt to get 3 bids.
And like on the sheeting, the metal sheeting for the roof is gonna be about 700 with the screws and everything. So that's under the,
I think the purchasing policy's in the
Bid
back
issue.
of that, I think.
So you're saying the price that McGilliry's would charge us would be less than
it'd be under 1,000. They thought 800, but
Okay.
where we have to have bids,
about what?
where we have to have a bid.
Well, let me read it to you. Here's $1,500 plus all requests and orders for the purchase, rental, or lease of goods, supplies, materials, equipment, and services, single or multiple items, reasonable, expected to meet or exceed $1,500 shall be approved by the board before bids are advertised or otherwise solicited by the department head pursuant to the resolution. After solicitation and when a bid is awarded, an accounts payable will be issued. In the $1,500 to $10,000, the department head shall solicit formal bids for all such purchases, but need not advertise by public notice.
okay,
So you can solicit those without advertising and then choose
Okay,
the best one that you deem.
okay. So like the $700 worth of sheeting to go on the roof. Heritage is the only place in town to get it, only place in the county to get it.
Go for it.
Thank you. And I'll get some numbers on the labor.
Yeah, and if they fall into that $1,500 each, we got it made.
Well, and the labor will be under 50.
then I think you just decide who can get it done the quickest.
Yeah,
So I can go.
I think that's what that says.
yeah. According to
Thank
what
you very much.
the way I read this.
Now, this has been, we discussed this probably in a February, March meeting with the auditors. That $19,488 for an audit fee was directly associated with the bond
Bond
payment.
issues.
And that was supposed to come out of Fund 150. And she took it out of 225. Can you
She asked about that the last meeting. I think that was getting straightened out.
Good
The
deal.
word-
I'm
I've been
wondering
trying-
if we could just follow up with a budget transfer sheet to correct that.
And if it's in works, I keep trying to get a hold of her, but you all know that's hard. So.
I
that's-
know it's been discussed, like
Well,
Scott said, and
yeah,
yes,
okay.
it definitely should have come out of the PBC,
Yeah.
And if
because
it's,
that was the bond
Because I
expense.
think that's what she was asking direction on to make sure that's where it was.
Right,
well, I think a simple transfer would cover
budget
that.
transfer.
Yeah, transfer it from one back to the other? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and there's a specific sheet that can be filled out.
So next, we have two vehicles up there that we inherited from Good Samaritan. They gave us several units, but one of them's a 1992 Ford Crown Vic that they do not use. One's a 2001 GMC G1500 van, and it's got a handicap accessible for one wheelchair. It was Martin Hill's, that they used, the family used. And then he sold it to them, and then that's part of what we got. But our board would recommend that you advertise those and sell them.
Those are titled in CCB though. Those aren't Cheyenne County, right?
True.
So CCB can sell them,
But I have to have permission.
Not from us.
not from the commissioners.
Okay.
They're your vehicles. We've sold quite a few through Skip Peterson's
Okay.
online auction, and it's pretty close. I mean, we've made a little money, and we've lost a little money, but he seems to be pretty effective at getting rid of it.
They cover such a big area.
Yeah.
The Crown, you said it's a Crown Vic.
Yes.
I wonder, could you just sell that in the newspaper better than on an auction?
Probably, I don't know. They valued it at $600 when they gave it to us.
That's what I say, it's not, by the time you take auction fees out of that, you're down to nothing. I thought maybe you can,
Talk to Dave Fleming about how he's fared. He sold a lot of stuff through their pickups and stuff, so.
And I know he has sold pickups.
Yeah, so-
But yeah, if it's a $500 unit, why?
Run an ad in the paper and say, hey, we got a car here for, first person here with $2,000 takes it.
Or
And then next week, you put
600.
1,000, next week, you put
park
500.
it by the park and leave the keys in.
Yeah.
Years ago, I'd have bought it and cut the top out and hunted rabbits.
It wasn't that long ago. But you'll think that over, and you might want it by tomorrow. All right, so I think that takes care of what I needed to figure out, and thanks on getting that, so I can move forward on that thing.
Yeah, let's get,
Patio cover.
We just, want to go, we don't want to get in trouble. That's the reason,
Well, neither do I.
Yeah. If you had one contractor who got upset, it could get ugly.
Yeah, I understand.
So
It's
cover
always
the
better to err
bases
on
and
the
we're
side of
all right.
caution.
I agree.
What's that?
I said, it's always better to err on the side of caution.
So thank you for your continuous support
Thank you.
and guiding.
and thanks for your hard
Your
work.
guidance. I enjoy your guidance and your company.
and you keep that building full now.
You
That's
are a
key.
politician, I know that.
If they need taxes in form, let me know.
Isn't he?
And Colby.
Okay. All right. Well, if they bill it to you, if the sales tax is on
So they'll
there.
probably ask for one. so.
Yeah, all right, very good.
Okay. Good morning, Helen.
Good morning, how are you?
Well, not 100% sure. You come up here and tell us how we're doing.
I seen those for sale down at the Majestic.
Yes, they are.
Morning, Carrie.
Good morning.
The first thing I wanted to talk to you about, and I mentioned this before, is These are copies of the brochure that Cheyenne County has had for way before my time. I don't know how old they are, but they're extremely outdated and, in my opinion, need to be redone. And it was brought to my attention that the foundation is going to be opening for donations. And maybe this would be a good time for you to think about maybe applying to the foundation to redo this. I would think that with the artwork and printing of, maybe even 5,000 of them would be probably around $2,000 or somewhere in that range. And I could, if you want to do that, I can get exact costs to do that. But I just think it's time that this be redone and.
We're still advertising for the Spearman Fly-In. We haven't done that for.
Right, and it was pointed out to me that some of the people in the pictures are older than they were when this was taken, so.
And some of them are dead.
Yeah, and so that's something I would like for you just to consider, and like I said, with budgets being tight, that maybe asking the foundation for some funding to do that might be a good
I
idea.
think that's an excellent idea.
Okay. And then I just wanted to bring the Shine-Opley game. If you haven't seen it, this is the cover, and this is the board. And unfortunately, we have not had some of the events that we planned to sell it at. So, but we're doing that. They're $30, and
I like that Briggs picture.
yeah, and so
Are you gonna have somebody sell them at the Thresher?
yeah, we're going to try to do that.
We had them at the
Really like to have
car
one.
show as well. and
I'd
stuff.
really like to have one of those.
Okay. Give me $30. I'd be happy to bring you one. Yeah.
You can have this one.
Got one
Yes.
right there.
Yeah.
So you've got these for sale
We have these
through
for
your
sale.
office, okay? And anybody can just stop in and pick
Or
one.
call. I did have several people during the first part of the COVID that wanted them, and so I had them mail me checks, and I dropped them off on their doorstep. I'm both here in Bird City, so we did sell some that way, but we haven't had a real good push just because of the situation.
Sure,
So.
sure.
But we had hoped to, we ordered 500 of them, and with that amount, we should be able to raise between $10,000 and $15,000 when we sell them, and so our goal was
500?
10,000. Yeah.
Wow.
In checking with some of the other communities, they're already ordering their second round, so they've been well received. It's but without having some alumni and some other things, I don't know how things are going to be going at the fair too. So.
Yeah, we don't know either.
And, we don't know. So, but
I was just going to mention in part of that, those 500, everybody that advertised got a free game. And so that came out of the top that we didn't sell, but they already, we used the selling of the board to pay for the printing.
Okay.
And so the advertising that we did here, and it went over really well. I mean, people were real excited to do this. You want to pull some cards? Some of the property kids, they're in there somewhere. But anyway, and so everybody that advertised got a free game. And so then we got our projected sales on the other, so we could kind of bring in about 10 grand. And so these are which are kind of, people bought either the money, they bought the actual property, and it was fun because people said, well, okay, I've got to have St. Charles Place. Is it sold yet? And so obviously it's not St. Charles, but it still is in the same position as the board. The only thing we don't have on here are the railroads because we don't currently have a railroad. So,
Did you have to deal at all with the monopoly people so that?
no, this Shine-Opley thing has been going on for a good number of years. And so we went directly to them. And I had gone to, there was a chamber roundtable of all the chambers of commerce, and, more than the Northwest Kansas.
I guess what I'm asking though is like the
Copyright.
the patent rights.
No, there's no
patents
problem
or-
with
there's
that.
no-
No.
that was taken care of long before we got in.
Yeah.
On this bad
Yeah.
boy. We saw this originally at Phillips County. And then, and it's been done very successfully in other counties, and we're just looking for
Yeah.
ways to bring additional funds into the office.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And we had
fantastic.
people calling way after the deadline, which is why we have things on the outside of the box.
I know.
And we ran out of room. We didn't have any other space.
Just
So-
shows you how much interest there
And
really
now
was.
people are saying, well, when are you going to do it again? Because we weren't on there and we just opened our business. So we may, after we get rid of, sell all these, we
500,
may
let's get-
just go ahead and do it again.
Let's get rid of the 500
So,
first.
yeah, so, but anyway.
All right, cool.
I could see people coming back for the fair and things or the that would be interested, but don't live there anymore.
Yeah.
They'd be
And-
interested in
and they make a
Yeah.
great gift item.
And we did
They really do.
run one article in the paper, and some of the people from here bought them and then called their relatives who live here and kind of, yeah. And so they've now purchased them too, so that worked out really well. So the real reason we are here is to kind of update you on some of the things that CCDC has done and that we are doing. Of course, the Cheyenne County Development Corporation was started in the 60s, and at that time the membership was made up of all the registered voters of the county, and that still stands. With the exception of about 8 years ago, we decided that if we wanted to keep the youth in the community, we needed to kind of find out what they thought. And so we have 2 voting positions on our board for one young person from each one of the school districts. So that's been the only change in that. And then I've listed that Carrie is the president, Bud Erskine's the vice president. The secretary is Rebecca Butler, treasurer is Jason Paget, and Justin Caldwell and David Butler representing the city of St. Francis are on the board. There's also a space there for county commissioner and someone from Bird City, which we don't have at this time. We do promote economic development through various ways. We do have an annual meeting. We have business information. If someone's starting a business, we have a notebook that we give them to start making a business plan. If someone is thinking about retiring or selling a business, we also have a notebook that we pass out, for that too. And we really try to help people with any questions they have. We try to provide as many services as we can free of charge. Sometimes I think we're just an information center and we tell people where to go to get the information that they need and the help. But there's a lot of things out there. We were responsible for writing the neighborhood revitalization, which is the county program, as you're aware, and it's renewed every 3 years. And then that's just been something I think that's really been good for the community to do that. Cheyenne County and Wallace and Sherman were approved as a 12th byway in the state of Kansas, and we have a county commissioner from each county that serves on that board. The most recent things we've done that, we applied through the National Scenic Byway Foundation for an award, and were awarded honorable mention for our application, and this had to do with some of the things that we've done along the byway. And we will be receiving that award during the Heartland Byway Conference, which has been delayed for a couple months.
Where are we at with the 501c3?
The application, we're waiting to hear on it.
But it's been submitted?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, yeah. And the 15th of last month, the federal government decided to open it up for national byway designation. They had a short window, so the 15th of May we submitted our application for national designation. There's no money or anything that goes with it. Should we receive that, the state would probably help with some additional signage, but it would just give us more publicity for the area and stuff like that. We still have the mobile gardens in the office, which we pass out to seniors if they want them. It's a grocery cart that were donated, and all the supplies are donated. for there. We do the Suitcases for Kids project, which give to the sheriff and the police department for kids that are taken out of their homes. And we still are putting information up at the rest area, and that's a state-sanctioned kiosk up there, so it's on the map. We go through between 400 and 500 brochures most month. The last few months have been kind of slow, but we're really going through a lot of things. And we do a monthly reporting to the state for that.
Surprises.
Yeah.
No, that number always surprises
Yeah,
me when we.
it is just,
do
it's
this.
crazy. And Cade Wilcox, who owns Rural and Remote, which is basically working out of your home, was here in November and gave a presentation to over 20 people in the community. If they're within the Dane Hansen area, the training is paid for by Dane Hansen. It's been interesting. I had a lady come in my office and say, "Is this for real?" And I said, "What do you mean?" She says, "Well, these friends of mine that want to move here that live in Colorado called and they're going to charge them." And I said, "Well, if they move here, then it's paid for, but otherwise, yes, there is a charge." And we've had several people that have worked with that program to work from their homes. So they also, with the training, also place people in positions. So you could be working in St. Francis or Bird City on the internet and be employed by somebody from New York City or something like that. And we provide mailboxes to the graduates with a letter of encouragement to come back or stay here should they decide to do that. If there's an event going on, a lot of times I get a call to do bags full of goodies and stuff like that, so we have brochures we pass out. And we also partner with the Kansas Department of Commerce, and I'm not sure exactly what's going on there. They have most recently released 3 of longtime employees. One is Dan Steppen, I don't know if you know him or not, but I've worked very close with him for a number of years with programs, and according to Secretary Toland, they're going to go in a different direction. So I don't know exactly what's going to go on with the Department of Commerce and what our relationship is going to be, who will have to help us out here with things. It remains to be seen. The Kansas Sampler Foundation usually has an annual event where communities get together and discuss ideas. That is probably going to go online rather than be an in-person thing this year. Kansas Workforce One, probably the one thing that they do is now, based on the legislature, they do offer some things to that work ready certificate to the seniors and probably juniors free of charge, which used to be a fee. So it's something that the kids can take and put in their resume, and it shows the level of their skills. Northwest Kansas Planning and Development, they had a meeting on the 10th of June, and I'm not sure why it was then rather than the normal time, which is the last Wednesday of the month, but it was. And one of the things that came up was that the fact that Ellis County is not going to pay their dues, and it's not in the budget for next year. And so the mayor and a couple of council people were there from Ellis, and because they wanted them to write the CDBG grants, it was agreed that for a fee, I think it was $3,500, that they could continue to have their grants written. So I made a motion that there be a group of people get together prior to the next meeting and discuss that and figure out what the formula was should individual cities want to do that, should the counties decide not to pay.
We, earlier in this meeting, when we tabled the discussion, Lessa brought up the fact that we potentially lost the opportunity for some money by not joining.
Mm-hmm.
We have real reservations about that. I mean, the number now is we're $18,000 owed in back taxes. Something's wrong.
Yeah.
Now, the city of St. Francis has agreed to pay their portion, which is $3,000.
They paid theirs. Yes.
Okay, and we're still in the discussion
Yeah.
phase of this.
I will tell you that there's something, I don't know if it's called an escrow account with the treasurer, and so there was a payment made for half of some year, and that would have been the last couple weeks, I think,
Well,
because there was
Scott-
finally enough in there.
Scott, he indicated, well, that may be what he's checking on now, but he hadn't seen anything come through.
Okay, because I did go get a copy of that and verified that that had been paid. But the other thing I brought up at the meeting, that there were several taxes that weren't unpaid, and Randy said, well, just who was behind? And I said, well, I don't have my list here, but I said there were a number of them, and so I'll bring those up at the next meeting. The next meeting is the last Wednesday of July. Starts at 6 o'clock, so there's a barbecue before that. But I would encourage one of you to show up, because on the agenda was Cheyenne County, which I was not aware that it was going to be on there, and so I wasn't sure what I should say, other than I did bring up the thing that you had some reservations because the taxes were owed. And
Well, I know I wouldn't be able to make that one because we're having a thresher show for that.
right. Mhm.
That starts basically
Actually,
on that day, huh?
Roger's listed as a voting member.
Right. But I just think it's important that you go and say something. And Randy's response to the thing with the taxes not being paid was, well, I don't get a lot out of those units over there in Bird City, and it's hard to pay with that. I mean, and he just kind of brushed it off.
I know they're behind on just about everything out there.
Oh, yeah. But I think it would be good if one of you commissioners could go to the meeting and say that, for the other commissioners to hear, because it's better coming from you than it would be coming from me. And you are the ones that make the decision as to whether you pay your dues or don't. But when they decided to let Ellis in, when Ellis County wasn't paying, my thought was, okay, fine, then I want to know what your formula is to decide this is how much you're going to pay. And if that happens with other communities, I mean, you set precedents. Mm-hmm. So what is your formula? Open it up. But it was very clear, if you don't pay, then you don't have the opportunity to have them write the grant, nor to administer it. So it's catch-22.
Yeah, sure is.
Yeah.
It almost looks like we should pay it then.
Well, you're only talking about potential money at best.
Mm-hmm.
I got a hard time buying that, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting precedent overall to say, well, we're not getting much back in from said property, so we really don't owe the taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. well,
I mean, that's just a.
Geez, I want to get on
So
that
I was just
wagon.
going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just too skeptical, but I think the whole thing stinks.
Mm-hmm.
There's something wrong.
Yeah. And of course, I'm not allowed to be on the housing committee, so I can't tell you what happens with the money that is taken from organizations. We did make a motion with PCDI that he cannot remove any funds for housing without our permission. So, of course, he drained us out, so we don't have any money anyway. But I just think it would be good if one of you commissioners would go to the meeting, and if it's not on the agenda, bring it up, because you guys have a lot more clout than I do.
When is it?
It'll be the last Wednesday of July at 6 o'clock at the community building in Hill City. It's right across from Pizza Hut.
29th?
Yeah.
But Roger, if you buy that Crown Vic, you might be rabbit hunting.
There we go.
Well,
You can drive that. You can drive with your mileage.
If I don't like what goes on, I can ram people in the parking lot.
Push them out on the highway. Yeah. So anyway, and then we also belong to the National Rural Economic Development Association, Northwest Kansas Travel Council, which is where we do an annual publication and pass that out at the business tours that we go on, and the shows. There's one in Denver, one in Omaha, and either Wichita or Kansas City, depending on when their dates are. And of course, everything is up in the air as to what we're going to do. And then the Travel Association of Kansas works with the State Tourism Division. And so one of the things we're doing is updating all the businesses that we have in there, which would be the restaurants and the lodging. And I've passed several information sheets out to those businesses and hope they'll get back because their new website will have pictures on it. So as soon as I get those, I need to do that. And then US Highway 36 did a Zoom call last week, and they're in need of somebody to handle the treasure hunt in Cheyenne County, specifically St. Francis. If they don't have anybody, St. Francis might not be on the map. Linda Elfers has been doing it and has not wanted to do it for the last couple of years. So.
Who has been?
Linda Elfers. So if you know somebody that wants to do that, and it's basically putting the map together, you might let me know and I can pass that information along.
I think you need to talk to Carol Northup. She's really involved in that.
Yeah,
She might be interested.
okay. And as the COVID-19 is here, I spent a lot of time on Zoom calls about assistance available to businesses. I've talked to a lot of businesses. My feeling is that the majority of businesses in Cheyenne County are very self-sufficient and they're not asking for help. There are others that are. And a lot of it depends on, the wages that they're paying the employees and things like that. But there's a lot of information out there, changes daily. They let the money and then it's gone because so many people are applying. So we'll just kind of see how things go in the future. It's pretty unknown. So that's pretty much kind of what we've done in the office, and staying busy and people calling more and more. And
So what have you heard from the state fair?
well, the state fair at this point is a go. They're going to do their tent outside like they did last year, but they're going to do it 2 weekends instead of just one. They keep sending information about what their entertainment and stuff is going to be. So, like I said, right now it's a go. But everything is subject to change.
Yeah, that's kind of in jeopardy
Yeah.
after.
After this week?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's kind of like, I will tell you that my husband's a contractor and he needed masks 2 weeks ago for painting and I couldn't find any. And all of a sudden, Walmart had a whole bunch and I didn't buy any. And I did go last night to try to get some, and all those that were there before were gone, and they have packs of 25 or more than they were last week. I don't know. Toilet paper's getting shortage too,
Again?
again.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think it's scary times. I think people don't know what to do. Do you stock up on food? There's just too many unknowns. This is not the times that we've lived in before. So,
And people are afraid.
yeah.
That's what it gets down to. And fear. The two things combined, fear and isolation, is not a great combination. And so it's hard to understand anything as far as being able to put a date on this. It's like these fundraisers to sell these games and things. Obviously, one of the key components to selling things is people. And so if you don't have people, you can just...
You only have 10
Right,
versus
right.
100.
So, yeah, it's interesting times. So,
Yeah, we're hanging on by our fingernails too.
So are you gonna go ahead and go through with a new one of these now?
If the county provides the funding, I will be happy to talk to the graphic artist I've been working with, provide the pictures, but like I said, we need the funds to do
And
it.
what fund did this come out of?
That's why if you just want to take it out of your general fund, that's fine. But my suggestion is apply the foundation
Foundation.
to see if they would provide it. And I will tell you that when I redid the Rickery Breaks and Cherry Creek encampment, that was Dane Hansen funding. But like I said, the local foundation for Cheyenne County and it, is very soon going to open it up, and I
Like
would
Tom Keller and Tom Small,
and talk to see if you could pay
Yeah.
for
A
it that way.
combination of those, yeah.
Okay. well,
Unless
let
you
us
want to do
know.
it, unless you want to do a transit guest tax,
A what?
a transit guest tax.
I don't know if I want to go down that road today.
Oh, I hear you did. So,
But I will just say, outdated promotional material speaks volumes in not a positive way.
Yeah.
So when I first came on the Cheyenne County Development Board, which was years ago, but I asked if we had any promotional items to hand out to prospective businesses. Keep in mind, it was a while ago, but it was long after the VCR age. And they went to the back and got me a VCR tape and brought it out. And I looked at them and said, "Are you serious? You're a prospective business looking to move into Cheyenne County, and you haven't even gotten into or out of the VCR time." And so, outdated material speaks volumes. So,
Yeah, we do. We definitely need to update that thing. Because like I said, it has events that aren't even,
but a couple ways of looking at it. You could wait because the Stearman fly-in might be back, and the river may grow, and then everything would be accurate.
yeah.
Was it?
Well, you've heard of snow in July, right?
Yes,
I'm not
I have.
sure of that one.
So.
I'm sorry, but I think it needs to be clarified what specifically is going on here in regards to these new brochures. I mean, like, is there a cost? Do you know how much it's going to cost? And have you been to the foundation first to see if they are going to cover it? Because what you're asking is that this not come out of the portion or the allotment that is given to CCDC by the commissioners. You're wanting this to come out of the general fund as an additional expense.
which is why rather than do that, where I said I think it would be good to make an application to the foundation, and I can get you exact figures. And I do have one in the office for the printing, so I can get you those figures. But that's what I would suggest you do, is you apply to the foundation.
Okay.
You're asking the commissioners to apply to the foundation?
Yes. Because we are not a 501c3. We're a 501c3 with the state, but a 501c4 with the IRS, so we cannot receive the funds. The only way we can get funds is to go through the city or the county. So if the county would apply, that would be the only way we can do it.
Unless you find another 501c3 that you could funnel the money through.
Who's not applying
Right.
for funds. Because the last time that the CCDC wanted to do something, every 501c3 was also applying. And so we couldn't use them because that would endanger them getting the funds.
That's the reason it was so important to get that 501c3. We've been working on this thing for.
Right.
Yeah.
So that, but CCDC, we've tried 3 times, I think, to get it, and the IRS has not granted it. So anyway.
But they have
The issue
graciously.
that we have here is that the county can't be used as a grant flow through necessarily. Because, like the amusement authority was needing monies for the foundation to pay the grant money to go to the amusement authority because they didn't have their 501c3 status. And we run into issues because we can't, just be this flow through for all these grants.
Would it be a flow-through if it's a county project? That's how I'm looking at it. This is a county project. The county needs a brochure.
Right, but it's under the guise of the CCDC, right?
Oh, look at me.
I don't have a clue.
I mean, I could help you
Confusing
out.
times.
I could help you out, but
Well,
I think it,
if you're looking at these 3 old gentlemen here, you'd be better off looking somewhere else.
Wouldn't it be good for the county and St. Francis, because St. Francis is in there with the band shell and
Sure.
St. Francis is doing their own.
they're gonna do their own
Yeah.
brochure?
How about Bird City with their threshing?
The Thresher Show has not reprinted theirs. And I think Bird City does have one that I've seen.
What are these?
So you can table it and think about it, and I'll come back and tell you something else.
You just get in the line as they come in. 'Cause that's what we're having to do with most
Yeah.
everything right now.
And it really comes down to, and I understand what you're saying, Les, but it comes down to the county needs, this needs to be updated. We don't know really, we've been trying to figure out exactly how to come up with the funding to do this. And then that comes into play where, beings that we have not been granted that status, it really ties our hands in what we can do as far as, let's just say, and this is going to be a lot of letters, CCDC goes through CC4C, who has the 501c3 status. But CC4C is applying for the same funding, so CC4C can apply twice to house this through there under that umbrella, which is what the granting groups look at. And so it really gets confusing, and it all comes down to because we haven't been able to secure that status from the IRS. I mean, that's really the bite in the backside.
Did they give you a reason why they wouldn't?
Well, the
It has to do with the fact we have development in there, and it says Cheyenne County Development Corporation. So they think we develop things. Even on the form, you talk about what you do. We don't develop anything. You can talk to them. But like I said, we've been turned down 3 times. So we thought about maybe changing the name to maybe Cheyenne Community Development, because there are some groups that's how they're named, and they can get the 501c3 status. But
Might be worth, if you're denied this time, we're gonna have to come up with another plan.
How much trouble is it to change the name?
we're working on that.
See, look, we're looking at changing the name but keeping the letters the same because most of our promotional items just has CCDC. Therefore, our stuff remains accurate, and we don't have the cost of reprinting, if we just can find a way to change the name within the CCDC. But it's the word development that they keep coming back and saying, well, you're developing businesses. Well, in a way, we are developing the community by promoting the opportunity for new business. But we're not developing the business in and of itself.
No
But you're
monies is
also
going-
talking to the IRS.
Right.
And so they graciously accept and keep our money each time.
Yes,
That's
I like that.
That's what they do, so anyway, yeah.
All right. We'll do our best. I'm not sure
Okay.
that we're in the business of applying for grants, but something's got to be done.
Yeah, and if we can find a different way or even ideas, don't hesitate to mention them, because like I said, we've been trying to figure out exactly how to do that, and so.
Well, now you got the problem too that outside funding sources are reluctant because we don't have 501c3, so they don't benefit from the donation either. What a pain.
You have any idea what the city of St. Francis is gonna spend?
About $2,000.
$2,000. And how many brochures would that get you?
About 5,000. And we don't want to do, there were boxes and boxes of these in the office when I started. And you don't want to get, 5,000 is probably a good amount to hopefully get through a couple of years, because you need to redo them, because things change.
Yeah, it was a mistake to order 20,000 of them.
And there's, I don't know how many there were. And so, actually, that's why the phone number's been changed on the back of them, and finally.
Multiple times. This is,
Yes.
see, this is getting real thick right here. But yeah, and I understand the process, because you can get each one cheaper. That's always the thing by ordering quantity. But you also have to understand a little vision here.
Yeah.
That if you're going to go through 4,000, 10,000, I don't care if you get them cheaper, is your waste.
Yeah.
They end up in the recycling, of which we talked about before. And so anyway, and that's how you end up handing out outdated brochures. So,
So I will check on it more and get back with you.
Okay. Sounds great. Well, thank you for the hard work that you do.
Well, takes everybody working together.
Yeah, it's just so confusing right now. Everybody seems to be going in different directions.
and then the information changes.
Yeah,
And then it just makes,
yeah,
So,
sure enough. Okay, thank you guys very much.
okay.
Do you have something else?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do have the budget on the last page. It's always, we save the best for last, of which we have increased. You will be glad to know we have jumped from 30,000 to 80,000 that we're asking for. So we would like your, I'm kidding. It was on this. No, I will start right here. One of the neat things, in all the doom and gloom and the negativity that we have out there, this is really a good time, though, for Cheyenne County. It really is. I mean, and I can say this, it's not an exact figure, but I can give you an absolute minimum. In the last 2 years, we have got at least 10 new businesses within the community, within the two communities. Well, and only a few of them are sole proprietorships. So a majority of these businesses that have come in actually have hired people, which is what we need. Those figures get lost somewhere in all the negativity about we don't have this and we don't have that, but there is good news on the horizon. We have new businesses in St. Francis. So that's awesome. Now, that is not, I say that, not to say that that is due solely to the efforts of Helen and the office, but the office is a contributing factor. So I say that as a caveat to the budget on the back page, of which you have before you in your book. Again, I do know that money is tight. We all know that money is tight. You have to have your head stuck in the sand not to understand that money is tight. The one thing that we would ask you at the same time we say thank you for your support in the past is that your support does not lessen. We're not actually asking for an increase, but we would appreciate the consistency to be able to do what we were able to do last year. And with the creative shell type game that we play, we end up moving funds around and be able to, to do the things and try to get the biggest bang out of our buck. So the budget is here. Last year you got a 3-year printout. This year, this is just the budget moving forward into 2021. There is one, I made this note on this one. I would just mention right here that our figure on this note, the second line down on expenses, okay, the building maintenance, as of the other, just a day and a half ago, our air conditioner went out. And so Jared Sowers said, well, it is 40. We asked him exactly what he thought. He said, well, it is 40 years old, and he usually only guarantees them for about 15. And so we've gotten our good use out of it. And so that number is not 100% accurate because we're going to need to look at some air conditioning.
Yeah.
And so,
Get some bids on that.
yeah, we can spend $1,000 on box fans and bags of ice, and so which Helen is getting tired of using.